Good morning, everyone. Felipe Jung. I work for Atkins, North America. Not going to read off my bio there. You probably have plenty of time to do that as we're fixing this up here. So it's a pleasure being here. Thanks. My first time, so I'm honored. Such a prestigious venue, so thank you so much for the opportunity. So, all right, so the presentation is going to be on augmented reality for asset visualization and content management. What you're just about to see are either proof of concepts or pilots ongoing within our organization for our customers. So basically, I would like to start with the basics, right? The difference between AR and VR. Often we get confused, but without reading what's being written here on the slides, the way that I like to look at it is AR is for field application and VR more for a training purpose. So you can basically train your procedures and scenarios from a safe and controlled environment and then take that to the field through AR. So basically, going back to what the here's some extracts from prestigious organizations, independent research entities, and opinion makers. In fact, we are experiencing a revolution in the way we all consume data. In the past decades, data has been leveraged through static means, like data fields, folders, and subfolders. So this practice removes the user's focus away from the task at hand, or our realities, and onto a screen as user then interprets that information to finally refocus at the task at hand. So this method that we've been using up to this point is potentially inefficient. It's prompt to interpretation mistakes, and potentially hazardous as the user is not focusing into his surroundings, rather away and at the device at hand. So AR will mesh both data and reality in one continuous, seamless view user experience. So the impact of mixed realities on the disruption scale. This slide comes from an independent and renowned consulting publication. Though, as you can see, we're now in the transform stage, and in a few months, when we hit 2020, 30% of our projects should be using some sort of advanced visualization technology, so AR, VR, or even mixed realities. Of course, this is ahead of the curve, right? Well, now that I have set the stage, let's dive deeper into the topic of my presentation, which is AR for asset visualization content management. First and foremost, any mobile solution to be effective in the grand scheme of things need to be agnostic throughout. It must work in virtually all mobile devices, newer and older models, and available through the most popular mobile operation platforms commonly used by us, such as iOS and Android. Must also work under challenging connectivity conditions and offline as well. Agnostic means that everyone, in-source, outsourced, third-party contracted, blended personnel, can take out their devices, download an app, input credentials, and start working right away, thus being efficient. The best device to deliver AR is through commonly used smartphones. Make no mistake, that's where the most resources in R&D are invested in. Not in headsets, head-mounted displays, but smartphones and tablets. And also, AR without any information is not as powerful and effective, rather serving as a visual aid on assets location only. Content management means AR must be leveraging and displaying information from third-party systems governing the assets that focus. In these instances, here as Atkins has introduced these technologies, we are seeing examples of information and data being displayed incoming from GIS and enterprise asset management systems. So these are some of our projects that we're introducing this technology, and we're going to dive deeper into each one of them as we continue our presentation here. So the first one is Miami-Dade Water and Sewer. This is a proof of concept. So Miami-Dade Water and Sewer is one of the nation's largest utilities. And back in 2016, 17, I was inquired to do an augmented reality proof of concept to assess this technology at play. Miami-Dade County has been experiencing a boom in construction and land development, which increases the risk in accidents and during the digging phases, so hitting pre-existing pipelines, utilities, so on and so forth. So we integrated the augmented reality mobile tool to the county's IT department's GIS management platform, which is done through standard integration practices without getting too much details, feature services in GIS, then publishing it so it can re-render in AR, while using the smart devices sensors and embedded softwares. Basically the same technology that we use on a day-to-day basis, you know, Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, Uber apps, you know. So we're just leveraging that technology, integrating with the systems, with the municipalities or the county's GIS, and displaying those assets onto reality. So we're going to take a look at this pilot. We produced a video on location, and that's going to segue into the next slide. Okay, that's me on location, using regular data connectivity through mobile network.
It's been sitting somewhere on a server, and somehow bring it to life. Look around with it, take it for a spin. Let it enrich your experience. Now, you can manage your assets and data in a whole new way. How about we give it some life? Let it interact in real-world situations. Let it tell a story. Imagine seeing underground utilities in the field and on your device, making decisions as you go, catching a glitch before it becomes a
Construction site, so very important for them to locate water mains and sewer lines and avoid hitting them. That information is coming from GIS, but it could also be coming from third-party systems that govern those assets.
is leveraging the power of virtual and augmented reality to do just that. Layers of assets and information come into view, and all you have to do is touch. Scroll up or down, view photos, drawings, and files, all from a front row seat. Digging data out of the depths of the past and bringing it to life. That's how you deliver a smarter, faster, safer, better project.
Oh, here are my notes. But anyway, we're going to go back to another instance use of this technology. In this case, in the, let me make this into, well, leave it like this. So in this case, we were assessing for pre-existing utilities for a new design drainage system. So previously, we have to deploy a lot of resources to the field to do that assessment, perhaps multiple times. In this case, we integrated to the Tampa area GIS municipalities database where we can see the pre-existing utilities, thus start making assessments and designing the new drainage system, then import that into AR, go back to the field, and see how they would coexist with pre-existing utilities. A good thing about this is that previously we had to have tremendous amount of, not tremendous, but you know, a handful of resources, multiple trips, but now you can have only one person on location, perhaps a couple of times, and all that experience can be shared through remote assist. Therefore, decisions can be made on the fly and saving time, thus being efficient, you know, collaboration, so on and so forth. So this is basically, instead of a maintenance or asset management, now you're doing for, you know, project management, which is another instant use of this application. So, glad that the Deputy Assistant Secretary mentioned great lengths of what we're trying, or what the, you know, flooding scenarios, how impactful it can be for municipalities and counties. So, FEMA has been struggling with public engagement, right? I think that the best approach that they had in public engagement was, hey, before a hurricane or an environmental disaster comes, take pictures of your documents, right? That's basically the last time that I heard about public engagement in their infomercials, so on and so forth. But here, we're working closely with FEMA to actually bring AR to re-enter flooding scenarios or meteorological events, if you will. And you can be on location, again, leveraging the devices, sensors, and embedded technology, software, to see what flooding will look like in that particular user's location. So perhaps from a public engagement point of view, you know, should I stay or should I go? If you stay, that could be 5 feet of water. If perhaps the odds of a hurricane goes right over you. So FEMA is very interested in that, and we're working together with FEMA on a task order to make sure that their GIS data is ready to plug and play into regular AR apps that are becoming available to re-enter data. And we had an opportunity to actually apply that technology for one of our pursuits. So going back to my previous slide where by 2020, 30% of the projects will be using mixed realities, right? You know, municipalities, utilities, they're struggling with that language. So actually I took an extract of an RFI and I highlighted, whereas that the struggle language here really applies to these advanced visualization technologies. So for example, we were working to extend or to widen that roadway, Harbor View, and I just stepped into FEMA's 100-year flood zones, and you can see that that area is prone to historical flooding events. So going back to the previous slide, where you can go on location and see what flooding will look like in this particular location, we'll have to make decisions on maybe we should elevate the foundation of this asset, transportation asset, right, a couple of feet more, so it doesn't become compromised by flooding. So that's another instant use of this application, of this technology. So in terms of integration, these are the systems that we have already alongside with our partners, systems that we can integrate AR to through GIS, okay? And some of the capabilities that they can bring to the fields and to the resources hands. In terms of the architecture, I'm sure probably some of you guys are wondering, well, you know, exposing my data to anybody can see it. Well, the architecture is, you know, in accordance to the best security protocols and firewalls in place. So we also work internally and with our partners to make sure that we can make this technology available to trusted users or to outside contractors. For instance, they should only be seeing a, you know, 100 feet area of utilities, not beyond that point, because that's the area of focus, which actually helps them locate the area they should be working on, by the way. So here's some integration examples of GIS-centric enterprise asset management. This is a large supermarket chain. They changed their business model. They're now, just like McDonald's, into the real estate market. So instead of taking care of their facilities, they're buying shopping plazas, and now they're responsible for the resurfacing of those parking lots, all the assets that come along with it, and also, you know, they have tenants now because they're also leasing real estate spaces. So they found a need and inquired us to supply them some technologies to not only BIM integration, by the way, but it's not the subject matter of my presentation here, but also GIS. So here's another example how we can integrate AR into third-party systems. This is just a few screenshots of us on location, parking lot. That's the supermarket. Oh, now it's working. So, by the way, I'm using second-generation iPad. I got to make sure that it works in all devices. So we're not using the latest technology. This is 5 years old handheld device. So the inaccuracies you're seeing, that the shaky image is because we're using, you know, 4 or 5 years old. But I have to make sure it works because you can't control who is holding the devices, you know. This is only a few days old. And This is actually at an airport under an elevated highway or access ramp. And we're showcasing, this is going to be extended to the tarmac and runways, but this is an example of even under, challenging connectivity conditions, airport, right? It also works efficiently because it's working offline. And finally, this is a very interesting project we are working on with MiamiDade TMS Smart intersections. So 3,000 intersections are going to be installing smart assets, and we're going to use augmented reality to support the field installation, bringing information, checklists, so on and so forth. This is one another instant use that we're using for transportation. Well, anyway, I'm running out of time, so sorry about the technical difficulties we had here, but I think I was able to give you an idea what we're doing, just summary, what the technology is taking us, and basically, the future is now, right? We should be starting implementing these advanced visualization technologies into our current projects and pursuits. Thank you so much for your time. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.